when you this happens when you work, when you go to the business meeting while you exist in your workplace.
So we are live streaming now. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته، أهلا ومرحبا بكم في الويبينار الخاص بالاتحاد العربي للمكتبات والمعلومات بعنوان الشات جي بي تي والذكاء الاصطناعي في المكتبات نقاش. يعني الحقيقة ده أول ويبينار للاتحاد العربي للمكتبات، بيتبعه سلسلة من الويبينارات الخاصة بالشات جي بي تي والارتفيشال انتليجنس أو الذكاء الاصطناعي خلال الفترة القادمة. واحنا سعداء النهارده يعني وجود متحدث متميز الحقيقه. يعني معانا هو الدكتور ريموند بون، امين مكتبه وعضو هيئه التدريس في كليه إلدر العليا للتعليم بكاليفورنيا الولايات المتحده الامريكيه، وهو عضو في لجنه الإفلا للتطوير المهني المستمر والتعلم في مكان العمل. وبنقل يعني للدكتور ريموند او راي، بنقل له تحيات الاستاذ الدكتور نبهان الحراسي رئيس الاتحاد العربي للمكتبات والمعلومات. الحقيقه قبل اما ابدا الويبينار يعني بتقدم يعني بالنيابه طبعا عن الاتحاد العربي للمكتبات والمعلومات للزملاء في السودان بخالص التعزية في وفاة المغفور ليها بإذن الله الدكتورة نادية العيدروس، يعني ربنا يغفر لها ويرحمها بإذن الله. إن شاء الله هيكون في ترجمة متواجدة يعني للسلايدز ومن خلال الباوربوينت برزنتيشن، وفي نفس الوقت يعني هنكتب في الشات كل سلايد على اساس المساله تبقى سهله بالنسبه لحضراتكم. اسمحوا لي بس ان انا طبعا احيي يعني دكتور راي باللغه الانجليزيه، وهنبتدي الويبينار مباشره. دكتور راي, it's a pleasure to be with us today on behalf of the Arab Federation for Libraries and Information. I'm very glad that you join us today, and I'm sending the Dr. Nabhan Al-Harasi, the President of the Arab Federation for Libraries and Information's greetings. I'm sure he will be maybe able to join us today depending on his time. I'm really glad that you join us, and also before I start, let me say that Dr. Raymond Bunn is a librarian and a faculty at the Undergraduate School of Education, California, United States. Dr. Bunn is a standing committee member of the IFLA Continuing Professional Development and Workplace Learning. Welcome to the first webinar in the series of our webinar, Dr. Ray, and we are happy to have you today, and let us start the presentation.
Shukran, Ustaza. Shukran, Heba. Thank you so much, Dr. Ishmael, for the invitation. Ahlan wa sahlan, tasharafna. It's really, really great to be here. So I'm going to start my screen. Hello and welcome. Thank you to the Arab Federation for Library and Information and Dr. Heba Ishmael for this invitation to speak to you all on ChatGPT and other artificial intelligence tools and their impact on libraries. My name is Dr. Ray Pun. I am a librarian and a teacher education instructor at the Alder Graduate School of Education in California, United States. I teach teachers, and one area that has been explored is how to use ChatGPT in our education library and how teachers can use ChatGPT to teach critical thinking, research, writing, and reading skills. This discussion will focus on ChatGPT. So first, you may already know about ChatGPT in the news, but many of you, it may still be new or unclear what it is. ChatGPT is an artificial intelligence chatbot tool created by OpenAI, an American AI research group, and ChatGPT was launched in November 2022. OpenAI also released DALL-E, a machine learning model that generates digital images from language description, which was launched in January 2021. ChatGPT version 3 uses generative artificial intelligence, which refers to artificial intelligence that can generate new content through neural networks and uses prediction as a chatbot rather than computing, analyzing existing data. You'll need to create an account first at chat.openai.com. For ChatGPT, it had 1 million new users within 5 days, compared to Instagram, which is 2.5 months, Facebook, about 10 months, Twitter for 20 months, and Netflix for 41 months. ChatGPT is very popular, but how will it impact libraries and our services and users? So let's do an activity here first. Please grab a piece of paper and a pen or pencil. And please think of one word after the sentence and what comes to your mind immediately. Once upon a time, there is. So you have a piece of paper and a pen, and then you fill in the sentence. Okay, so maybe we can stop here and let me ask if anyone wants to share. You can share in the chat box, or maybe we can also we can start with maybe Dr. Heba Ishmael to share the word.
Maybe once upon a time, there is a librarian.
There is a librarian. Okay, thank you. How about Mustafa?
Hey, Ray.
Yeah. Do you want to answer the question?
So, some of library users use the ChatGPT to search for the analyze data. So to get summarized for chapters and such information.
Shukran, Mustafa. Yeah, this is great what you shared. And thank you, Dr. Heba Ishmael. So this is how ChatGPT works. Okay, it works by predicting the next word that you are thinking of and then making the connection with its data. So what Dr. Ishmael shared is librarian, and Mr. Mustafa shared is librarians, ChatGPT. So that is the prediction that comes in. So let's continue here. I will talk about the opportunities in libraries for ChatGPT, but you can see here an image of ChatGPT responses and what data it gathers from the internet, from BBC to Reddit to CNN, The Economist. This is not a complete list, but there are other sources. So a lot of this is what is giving ChatGPT the data. So in this article, one of the key benefits of chatbots for libraries is their 24/7 availability. It can support 24/7 reference services where it can answer patrons' research questions. It might also be able to integrate into library catalog and database and offer relevant information that can be searched through the chatbot. It can also handle multiple languages, such as Arabia, Chinese, and French. This is especially important for libraries serving diverse communities. However, chatbots should not replace human reference services, but support and complement them. For complex or specialized reference questions, it should always go to library staff to respond to. ChatGPT has been used to create authority records for cataloging. This is one example here shown where an authority record has been created on someone who doesn't have a record yet. According to the Library of Congress in the United States, an authority record is created for the standardized form of a name or term. This form, sometimes called the authorized, authoritative, or established form. On the authority record, the standardized form is the key element for which the record was made, so it is also called the heading. In my job as a librarian, I teach teachers, and we use ChatGPT to understand what information is generated in response. Here is an example of a task. We ask ChatGPT to define a theory in education called culturally relevant pedagogy. And then I have students read it, review it, and think how to make it better, how to include citations, how to paraphrase the sentences so that it is better and scholarly. They did the exercise and had thought of ways to teach their students in the classroom how to use ChatGPT to outline ideas, but to improve their writings. So you can see here some of the changes that we have worked on in the class in yellow, how to make it better, and some questions we had. Now we talk about the issues of ChatGPT. First, there are free and premium accounts. One is free and one needs to be paid for. It can create different tiers between those who can afford it and those who cannot. We need to be aware of this inequity because it gives some people an advantage over others. ChatGPT also makes up citations. If you ask ChatGPT to find articles, research articles, these articles may be fake. This is called hallucination. We need to be careful because if students are using it and they cannot find it in the library database, they ask library staff and interlibrary loan departments have been very busy trying to find articles that do not exist. So we need to be careful. There is a question about privacy and data collecting. ChatGPT is collecting the data when you create an account. It is also collecting your questions and responses as data. We have to be aware of this and teach our users that this is happening because it is against our privacy rights as well as the library rights, especially for the United States. ChatGPT has been banned in many schools in the United States because students may abuse this tool and not learn or do the assignments. This is true and it can happen. However, we need to find ways to work with this tool because it is not going away. This tool will challenge how we work and think in society. Businesses are using it, and education, government, and libraries are behind. So we need to catch up to use this tool properly and safely. It is also important to know that there are already artificial intelligence tools in libraries, such as metadata indexing, as well as teaching and learning tools. You can see here, this is an article I had written. Artificial intelligence is not going away, and it is here to stay. I wrote this back in 2019 before the pandemic, and I will share this link later with you. So here are my slides where you can find the articles that I referenced on ChatGPT. The problem is that the technology moves so fast that these articles may be outdated and new ones will come out. It's becoming true. Those who know how to harness artificial intelligence tools will be the true competitors over those who do not. This creates inequity and inequality of access to information and skills. This is something we need to always think and talk about. So with that, this is the brief presentation, and there are probably a lot of questions that you may have. And so we can take on the questions. You are welcome to message me if you have other questions or want to stay in touch. This is the time because I know everyone here has questions about what was shared and also what you are experiencing. And here are some discussion questions. Oh, we can do some discussion questions. I think, Heba, if you want to share that. Let's see.
Yes, for sure, Ray. I'll just share it on the chat in English and in Arabic too.
Great, thank you. I see a question from Nadia. So you will need to create an account on the URL there. So I'm going to drop the URL in the chat box. But Heba, if you want to translate.
Yes, Ray is saying that he is going, sorry, Ray is saying, Ray بيذكر إن هو هيشارك مع حضراتكم الرابط اللي ممكن من خلاله إن أنتوا تسجلوا في الشات أو يكون ليكوا أكاونت أو ليكوا حساب على الشات جي بي تي، وهو شاركوا بالفعل مع حضراتكم من خلال الشات.
That is a...
Yeah.
Heba, do you want to translate the question first or?
السؤال هل احنا ممكن نستخدم يعني الشات جي بي تي في ان احنا نبحث على المحتوى باللغة العربية؟ You can answer now, Ray.
Thank you. So this is something that is not so perfect because the ChatGPT usually is very Western focused in terms of the content. So it's I have tried some of it with Dr. Ishmael just to see. We had tried to convert the description, and I think it wasn't so great. Was that right, Dr. Ishmael?
Yeah. راي بيذكر ان في الجزئيه الخاصه بالبحث يعني باللغه العربيه او الكونتنت او المحتوى باللغه العربيه ان هو ده مش جيد، لان هو يمكن شويه يعني ريليتد يعني او مقدم، او ممكن نقول ان هو خاص بالدول الاجنبيه لسه لغايه دلوقتي ما تحسنتش الجزئيه الخاصه باللغه العربيه، وان احنا فعلا جربناه انا وراي، بس الحقيقه ما كانش يعني فعال او ما كانش جيد جدا. اتصور ان هو يمكن في المستقبل يعني المستقبل ده بيبقى قريب جدا ممكن الامور تبقى يعني افضل.
There is another question here on the plagiarism.
Ray, can I just interrupt you for a second? هستأذنكم يا جماعة من فضل حضراتكم نخلي علشان الأسئلة ما تضيعش في الشات، لأن بيبقى فيه يعني زي كومنتس في الشات، نخلي الشات للكومنتس، وفي عندنا ال Q&A ممكن نكتب فيه الأسئلة. Ray, I just asked them if they have a question to add it in the Q&A instead of the chat, because in the chat it may be lost because other are commenting on what you are saying. So هستأذن حضراتكم نكتب كل الأسئلة في ال question and answer. There is a question, Ray, concerning if the researchers who use ChatGPT for their paper, is that plagiarism, or can they put ChatGPT as a resource?
Good question. Okay, thank you. Good question. So it depends on the journal. So some journals you have to put ChatGPT as a co-author, or you have to cite it, and some do not allow it. So it varies based on the publisher.
راي بيذكر ان هو ده بيعتمد على الجورنال. I'm sorry, Ray, can you please say you said it depends on the journal, and what the rest of the answer?
Yeah, it depends on the journal because some allow it as a source and some do not.
لأن البعض بيسمح كأن هو يكون مصدر والبعض لا. So we have about 10 questions in the Q&A.
Yeah, I see the questions, but should we do the next one?
Yes, for sure.
There's a question here. Would like to ask, how could we use chatbots in library content development? Another good question. As I mentioned, if you use the GPT to create or create articles on a specific topic, maybe it is on Arabic literature, right? It may create articles that could be real and could not be real. So that is the issue. It doesn't necessarily create the content that is authentic. So they're working on to fix it, but I think in the future, we can see it used as a way to find new sources to add to the library.
السؤال كان أو إزاي ممكن نستخدم الشات بوتس في اللايبرز يعني روبوتات المحادثة في المكتبات أو في تنمية الكونتنت الخاصة بالمكتبات. فري جاوب إن هو ممكن استخدام مقالة عن يعني موضوع معين، ده ممكن. وممكن مستقبلا إن احنا نستخدم يعني مصادر يعني أخرى، أو إن هو يكون زي سورس أو مصدر لمصادر أخرى متاحة بالمكتب. There is a question about how we use it in Egypt because it's not available. And also Mr. Ahmed or Dr. Ahmed is saying that he tried to use it. I guess it's maybe from a website or something like that from USA, but it needs like a mobile number or a cell phone number that's available is VPN to implement the service. So how can we register from Egypt؟ السؤال للأستاذ أو الدكتور أحمد رمضان إن إحنا إزاي ممكن نستخدمه في مصر لأنه مش متاح، وإنه هو حاول استخدامه بس طبعا تقريبا ويب سايت يمكن أمريكي أو حاجة زي كده، بس بيطلب رقم موبايل متاح في VPN بتطبيق الخدمة، وسؤاله إزاي نسجل من مصر. Ray, please.
Yes, that is true. It is currently blocked in Egypt, so it is not available. But I think what is important to know that it is out there, and that people may be using it maybe through the VPN or some other way. But I will say that it is changing a lot of the learning here in the United States. So when that changes for users in Egypt, then it will change things really, really fast. I don't have any other comments about using it because I think it is currently not available, and it's the same with Microsoft. They have the Bing AI. It is also not available too, as I'm seeing right now. So it will eventually, as you hear in the news, have some sort of form availability later, maybe in the country.
ري بيؤكد فعلا ان هو مش متاح في مصر، ولكنه موجود وممكن للاشخاص يستخدموه طبعا من خلال الVPN، لكن هو طبعا بيرى ان هو يعني هيغير اشياء كثيره في التعليم. في هذه الجزئيه هو بيقول ان هو لا يوجد له تعليقات اخرى، لكن اكيد في النهايه ان احنا هنسمع ان هو هيكون متاح. Ray, there is another question in the chat about copyright. What about the copyright?
Yes, that's a good question. In terms of the copyright, it is currently in a lot of discussions because it is a little bit unclear. Part of it is because it takes information. So in the art area, so for DALL-E, which is also by OpenAI, it creates images where it's drawn from other artists' work. So that, I think, is still in discussion about the copyright itself. Now, in terms of copyright laws, there is no protection for works created by machine learning programs. Machine learning programs, they have no legal personality. They are not considered to have any rights in current legal framework. However, if the creators can show their human input and argue that their work is copyrightable, it may be possible. There are other cases where we have seen that copyrighted data to train these models. So there are a lot of scenarios, but right now, in terms of who owns the copyright, it varies by your country, your nation. And so in the United States, there are copyright granted for artwork for AI, but there's some changes right now, a lot of discussions. So no right answer, no clear answer, if I might say. Sorry, Heba, if that's a lot of response there.
Yes, but I may summarize it in 2 or 3 sentences that إن في مناقشات كتيرة جدا، لكن المسألة يعني غير واضحة حتى الآن من ناحية يعني الحماية الخاصة بالكوبي رايت أو حقوق النشر. لكن هو بيقول إن هو هناك يعني سيناريوهات متعددة، لكن في النهاية إن إحنا بنقول إن المسألة غير واضحة يعني حتى الآن. Ray, what do you think if we have some of our colleagues here that raise their hands, so we can take 1 or 2 of them?
Hi, good evening, Dr. Raymond.
Hi, Sabah Khair, Hussein.
Yes, it's a pleasure to have you here in the Arab region. I'm a librarian currently working at one of the international schools in Bahrain. That's because of the chat GPT and also the new Gbot from Google. We are facing problems with the citations and also with the research for the students. Okay, we know they are copied directly from chat GPT, and also we have a lot of tools, so we can keep a track of these researches, what is going on, if they are copied or not. This is the one problem that we had, and I think you are facing it on the university, I assume, but I am assuming this. But on the other hand, how we can face the change of mindset of the leadership of the schools or any organization about replacing the librarians in terms of the chat GPT. Can resolve anything, can give you the classifying number, can do everything, and we can replace you as a librarian. How we can face our rules as a librarians, and how we can say no, you should have a librarian, and the chat GPT is just a tool. It's not the new librarian for the schools or for the organizations. So these are my 2 questions.
Heba, would you like to translate first?
Yes, أنا بس عايز أسمع السؤال الأولاني. حضرتك كنت قلت how can we change the mindset replacing the chat GPT؟
أنا هتكلم بالعربي الحين عشان يوصل للزملاء. السؤال الأول إن المشكلة الأولى اللي صايرة إن هي السايتيشنز والبحوث اللي تقدم من الطلبة الثانوية سواء في المدارس الخاصة أو الحكومية، إن غالبا الطلبة تسأل أسئلة للشات جي بي تي وراح يعطيها، وبناء عليه ما في بوليسي معين ان احنا نقدر نحد او سياسة معينة نحد من الكوبي رايتس او الكوبي بيست من مختلف هاي المواقع، فما في بوليسي معين. هل ممكن المكتبات او امين المكتبة يكون عنده بوليسي؟ شلون يقدرون يسوي فيسنج لهذا الموضوع؟ المسألة الثانية شلون نجابه عقليات الإدارات العليا في المدارس، وحيث انه هي تشوف الشات جي بي تي حاليا ممكن يعطي ارقام دقيقه مثلا مثل ارقام التصنيف للامناء المكتبات، ويقول فلذلك الادارات العليا تقول احنا لسنا بحاجه الى امناء المكتبات، لان الشات جي بي تي والادوات الصناعيه الحديثه ممكن تؤدي مهام امين المكتبه، ولذلك لا نحتاج لامين المكتبه، ولذلك تسبب تلاشي وقصور في فهم ما هو امين المكتبه اكثر ما هو عليه في المنطقه العربيه.
Yeah, thank you, Hussein, for that question. So for the questions you shared, I think this is a conversation that many workplaces are having, which is how to balance using artificial intelligence tools to support the work, but also to ensure that people do not feel that they're going to be replaced by the AI tools. Unfortunately, universities and public libraries in the United States, I would say, have lost a lot of funding. There is so much lack of funding because of a lot of reasons. But this tool cannot replace some things that we do. We are librarians, we are human connections, we we build relationships. You know, the ChatGPT cannot build these relationships with our communities, with our faculty, with our students. So I suggest a couple of things. You really have to have conversation on deepening your expertise. So if you are in an area like cataloging, specifically archives or something more specific, audiovisual, let's say, you want to be so the expert, right, that the AI cannot do your job. It just cannot, you know, because of our expertise. And it's also important to have the information where you know you will always be learning, because if you are not learning all the time, you will your skills will fall behind. So that's where ChatGPT can end up becoming, you know, very, very, very sort of resourceful. But also, if you have the skills, then this is something that you can always carry with you in any other position. The other suggestion I have is you have to build curiosity. So the mindset you mentioned, I think a lot of people are afraid of this tool, like you said, because it's changing how we learn. But we also have to be curious, because when you're curious about this type of tool and how it's being used, we might be able to expand new job opportunities that we did not know could exist using ChatGPT or any other AI tool to create a potential for the library. So that could be data or text mining, because it's very difficult to find a librarian who knows data and text mining, and then you can have ChatGPT to create that service, the digital scholarship service. So there's a lot of different areas to sort of explore, but I kind of leave it here just for you to think about. But Heba, if you'd like to translate, feel
Yes,
free.
for sure. يعني إجابة ري كانت إن في العديد من يعني المكتبات أو في العديد من الأماكن المفروض إنه يكون في زي توازن ما بين الذكاء الاصطناعي والأشخاص، ولا يجب إن الذكاء الاصطناعي يعني إن هو يحل محلهم أو يقوم بأعمالهم. في المكتبات الجامعية والعامة في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية في نقص في التمويل، وهو شايف إن الأداة دي لا يمكنها إنها تحل محل الأشخاص أو أخصائي المكتبات. فهو اقترح اقتراحين، إن هو يبقى في محادثة مع يعني المتخصصين أو مع الخبراء. فبيقول إذا كنت في الفهرسة أو الأرشيف، يعني طبعا هي مش هتحل محل الأشخاص، لكن المهم إن أنا يكون عندي المعلومات وإن أنا يكون عندي رغبة في التعلم، علشان مهاراتي يعني عايزين المهارات تكون يعني متوافقة مع العصر اللي احنا بنعيشه، وهو عصر التكنولوجيا والمعلومات، وعلشان مهاراتي ما تسقطش. النقطة الثانية بيقول إن أنا لازم يكون عندي فضول، إن أنا أبني الفضول. بعض الأشخاص خائفين يعني من استخدام هذه الأدوات الخاصة بالذكاء الاصطناعي، لكن لازم يكون في لدي الفضول لاستخدام هذه الأدوات. Thank you, Ray. We can take another question.
Marhaba, Omar, do you have a question?
So, Dr. Heba, excuse me, we have a question here about someone is asking about how to, do you have an idea about how to use the chat GPT and the cataloging process? And what is the best context or format of question that can be used to come up with the best cataloging record?
I'm sorry, Mustafa, can you repeat the question?
We have a question here about how to use the ChatGPT in cataloging process. So, and what is the best context of the questions that can be used to come up with the mark record, accurate mark record using ChatGPT? Do you have an idea?
So if I'm understanding the question, it is about using ChatGPT to create MARC records or sort of workflow. Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
So I am not a cataloger, so I do know a lot of catalogers. So they have told me that potentially that they could use ChatGPT to do general copy cataloging. So at the very basic level, and then use that to create more specific records or headings. So it does the initial job, right? The different MARC records information in there. The issue is that sometimes the information is biased that ChatGPT presents. And that's a whole other area where it may not know that some of the terminologies are not in practice. So in the United States, we have changed some subject headings. So for example, we don't say illegal immigrants, we say undocumented, right? Like so, sort of some changes in the local systems. So ChatGPT, it depends on the data that it collects. So it could still be incorrect, and then the cataloger will still need to fix it. So it's not a perfect system, and I don't know anyone who is really using it for creating the MARC records, but I know that they are talking about potentially using for copy cataloging. So I will stop here. Heba, if you want to translate, or if you need me to repeat, that is fine too.
Yes, I guess Mustafa.
Yeah,
Right, yes, that's right, it's Mustafa, sorry.
Yeah. So thanks Dr. Ray. He's just mentioned, Dr. Ray قال إن في تغييرات كتير في سياسات الإعارة، فبالتالي يعني لو الكتالوجر يستخدم الشات جي بي تي، فهو المتوقع إن هو يديله بيزك ليفل، المستوى الأساسي من الفهرسة، فبالتالي هو هيشتغل كتير في تغييرات في التسجيلات البيبليوغرافية أو الاستنادية. بالتالي يعني هو ما شافش ناس كتير بتعتمد، او ما شافش حد بيعتمد على شات جي بي تي في الفهرسه بشكل اساسي. Okay. We have some other question here is asking about
Mustafa, can I interrupt because we have Omar Farouk?
Yes, please. Yeah, sure.
مستر عمر أو دكتور عمر، ممكن حضرتك تفتح المايك؟ Okay, we can have another question. Ray, someone's asking about the accurate responses that we received from ChatGPT.
Yes, we had talked about this. It is not always accurate. The reason why is because it makes up citations based on what the data has created. So if it's saying that we need to find articles about reference librarianship, it may think about the reference librarian articles, and then it may think that the author can create some sort of citation that is not real. Why does it do that? Nobody really knows. I think they're still figuring out. This is a big issue, and so they are trying to fix it. So it is not necessarily accurate, and you need to always fact check yourself after using a AI tool, because sometimes it is incorrect.
هو السؤال كان عن مدى دقة الإجابات اللي بنحصل عليها من الشات جي بي تي، وري بيذكر إن هو مش دائما يعني دقيقة. هو لغاية دلوقتي ما حدش عارف هو إيه السبب في إن البيانات اللي أنشأت دي يعني مش دقيقة، أو إن أنا ممكن يعني ما ينفعش إن أنا أرجع عليها، لكن في المجمل العام يعني البيانات غير دقيقة، يعني لا يتم الاعتماد عليها طبعا، خاصة إذا كنا بنعمل سواء أبحاث أو ريسيرش أو whatever. طيب مصطفى, you have a question? Another question?
I can't find many questions here asking about how to use the ChatGPT in Egypt, and here is in the chat box. I have just added a website that can provide a free account of ChatGPT in Egypt. So at least we can try to use the free version of the ChatGPT here in Egypt. It exists in the chat box. Okay. So here. Yeah, here is an question about what is your expectation for the development of the art content development within the we have another question here is, do you think that ChatGPT will influence on librarian job?
Yeah, that's a similar question from the other one, Hussein. But yeah, it could change, but we can definitely look at it as a tool to support our work too.
There is another question, how can libraries use ChatGPT to develop their online service? السؤال عن ازاي ممكن تستخدم المكتبات الشات جي بي تي لتطوير يعني خدماتها اللي هي متاحة عبر الانترنت.
Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you. So some examples that I had shared include the virtual reference chatbot. So when you use something like ChatGPT, where you can have the chatbot, they can answer reference questions online 24/7 virtual. Now, right now, some libraries are using 24/7 virtual reference, but they are usually in person. And sometimes they are remote. I'm seeing more remote coming in. When I worked at the Stanford University for the Hoover Institution, we had a chatbot that was being developed at the time. A colleague was working on it, and it was going to answer questions about archival collections at the Hoover Institution, only in English though. And it was going to make recommendations. It was a recommendation chatbot. Now, at some institutions I've seen, like San Jose State University, they had talked about having a AI-powered chatbot to answer reference questions. So this is where it could be used, but we also need to be cautious that the information from the chatbot might not be accurate. So you have to really train the data, train the model to ensure that it gives good answers. That is the first thing that I think of about how ChatGPT can be used for online services.
ري قال إن هو ده تم ذكره في العرض المرئي اللي قدمه، وهو يعني أقرب مثال أو نموذج هو يعني الروبوتات الخاصة بالمحادثة اللي هي يعني ممكن تجاوب على الأسئلة المرجعية لمدة يعني 24 ساعة على مدار 7 أيام. وإدى نموذج لأن بعض المكتبات بتستخدمه أحيانا في البحث أو يعني في إنها تتواصل مع المستفيدين، يعني طبعا عند السؤال بالمصادر الأرشيفية هو بيعطي زي ريكومنديشن أو بيعطي زي توصية
Oh, there might be a connection issue. Mustafa,
المكتبات المفروض إن هو يبقى فيه نوع من أنواع
Please go on, Dr. Heba.
Okay, so I think yeah, there's a connection issue. So
okay, let's move for the next question, please. So we have so many duplicated questions, so we are trying to pick up some different questions here. Oh yeah, here is a question from Awatif. She's asking about the citation for the result for the data that comes out from using the chat GPT. Why we didn't find a citation in the resources that the origin data is driven from. So do you believe that by the next version of ChatGPT, it can provide the resources, the original resources of the data?
I think I heard some of the questions, Mustafa. I'm sorry. So is the question about the new version of ChatGPT?
Citation, yeah.
What about citation? Is it?
She's asking when you go into the ChatGPT and ask a question, you get a lot of information, or is it so? But without a citation for this data, where it came from, yeah. So
Yes, thank you. So if you were to cite that prompt or the passage from ChatGPT, you can cite it in APA, so the APA citation or even the MLA citation. You will have to cite that response, but sometimes the ChatGPT does not come up with its own citation, right? So you have to do it for your paper. So I think, if I'm understanding correctly, that's sort of a way to cite it. In the new version, I'm not sure. It will be out in the summer, in July maybe, and then we'll see what it can do in terms of creating its own citation.
اوكي لحد دلوقتي ما فيش سايتيشن في الفيرجن اللي موجود دلوقتي في الشات جي بي تي، لكن احتمال في الفيرجن الجديد في ممكن على الصيف يكون في ابديت، وبالتالي ممكن نلاقي السايتيشن للداتا للمعلومات اللي ممكن نحصل عليها من الشات جي بي تي موجوده في الاجابات. اوكي.
يعني احنا تقريبا الوقت بتاعنا يعني على وشك ان هو الانتهاء، ف يعني ممكن ناخد سؤال اخير. Ray, I was saying that we are running out of time, so we may have just one last question. ممكن ناخد سؤال من يعني الزملاء اللي هم كانوا رافعين ايديهم. استاذ عمر، هل المايك متاح مع حضرتك الان؟ اوكي. طيب احنا ممكن ناخد استاذه رجحه. استاذه رجحه اتفضلي.
I have a question about ChatGPT. If the library bought the whole of his content as a resource or databases or every data in the internet, and it has access to all his users, there is no need to the librarian, I think. Everybody can use Chat GPT to search about everything in the library and do any research. Do you think that there is no need to the librarian in the future? Thank you.
Shukran for your question. So this is similar to the other ones we talked about. I do not think it can replace librarians. We make the human connection. We bring people to the library, the school, the public, or the university libraries. ChatGPT cannot bring people to the library. It can create marketing, right? It can create the graphics or the sign to say, you know, this is a library, new events or workshop, but it cannot bring people into the library. We are the ones that will go to the meetings. We are the ones that will set up the fair outside, you know, to promote the library. It cannot promote the library in person. So that is the difference. Now, I did not talk about robotics. Robotics is separate. That is something being tested on right now. But in general, that's also using AI. But in general, for us, we have the emotional intelligence to make connections with people that is irreplaceable. People can do research, but what if the research information is not good or unreliable, or technology is not working? The library will still provide those resources and services. The only issue is that the libraries, even in the United States, they're going through a lot of funding issues. And so I think there's going to be some difficult conversations later, but I think we can use AI to support the work we do, and as opposed to taking over, completely what we're doing.
Thank you.
هو السؤال كان مشابه للسؤال اللي تم سؤاله قبل كده، إذا كانت هيمكننا الاستغناء عن أخصائي المكتبات والشات جي بي تي هتحل محل كل اللي بيعملوا أخصائي المكتبات. فكانت الإجابة إن إحنا ما نقدرش نستغني عن أخصائي المكتبات، ولا يمكن إن إحنا ده يحل محله، لكن إحنا ممكن نستخدمه في التسويق للخدمات الخاصة بينا. وهنا راي مش بيتكلم على الروبوتس اللي هي أحيانا بتستخدم طبعا الذكاء الاصطناعي في التواصل مع الأشخاص. Ray, may I have one final question of what you mentioned in answering the previous question. أنا بسأل ري سؤال، هو ذكر نقطة في الإجابة عن التساؤل الأخير الخاص بالتسويق. It's about marketing. Did you use the ChatGPT in marketing before?
I have not, but I know others have. So I know that others have used it to create really short descriptions or help refine their description of the program or event. And their institution allow it, and I have not used it yet because I think for me, I trust my own writing and marketing, but I know other people have used it for social media because it can generate really fast content for you to use, but you still have to fix it because it's not perfect. There's some information you need to put in together.
آخر سؤال علشان الوقت اللي أجاب عليه ري هو كان خاص بالتسويق، وإذا كان هو بصفة شخصية استخدم التسويق أو استخدم الشات جي بي تي في التسويق. فكانت الإجابة هو بصفة الشخصية ما استخدموش، لكن يعرف بعض الأشخاص أو بعض أخصائي المكتبات اللي استخدموه بالفعل في إنشاء زي وصف قصير عن أي فعالية كانت عندهم أو أي برنامج أو وضعوه على السوشيال ميديا. بس هو من رأيه طبعا إن هو ده بيحتاج إلى طبعا إعادة صياغة، إلى تصليح على أساس إن الكونتنت أو المحتوى يكون ملائم. Ray, thank you so much for your time and for the presentation. We enjoyed it. We enjoyed the very informative session. أنا حبيت أشكر الدكتور رايموند بون، وهو أمين مكتبة وعضو هيئة التدريس في كلية إلدر العليا للتعليم بكاليفورنيا، واللي كان معنا متحدث في هذه الجلسة عن أولى الندوات اللي قدمها الاتحاد العربي للمكتبات والمعلومات عن الذكاء الاصطناعي. Thank you so much, Ray, for this informative session, and we enjoyed the information that you provided. And looking forward for more session with you, inshallah.
Shukran, Heba and Mustafa, Afwan, and yes, hopefully, inshallah, there will be more opportunities in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. شكرا جزيلا لحضراتكم. شكرا مصطفى على إدارة اللقاء معايا، وإن شاء الله لو في أي استفسارات إحنا عندنا البريد الإلكتروني الخاص براي، وممكن حضراتكم تتواصلوا معاه. أيضا هنتيح العرض المرئي الخاص به. Ray, we will send it to all our colleagues here that all who registered for the webinar, we will send your PowerPoint presentation, and if they have any questions at the time won't permit to answer it, they can directly, if you permit of course, they can directly email you. شكرا جزيلا لحضراتكم، ونلقاكم في يعني ندوة أخرى خاصة بالذكاء الاصطناعي إن شاء الله. أمسية لطيفة بإذن الله. شكرا لكم. مع السلامة.
مع السلامة.
باي باي.